Hello and welcome to the Avrum Rosensweig Show.
Welcome to one of the internet's best podcasts, where we dive deep into the lives of the extraordinary and fascinating people who leave an indelible mark on our world. Join us as we explore their captivating stories, remarkable achievements, and unique perspectives that shape history and inspire generations. Get ready to embark on a journey through the lives of inspiring people unlike any other.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the Avrum Rosensweig Show. My name is Avrum Rosensweig, and I'm delighted to be here. Shana Tova to everybody. Happy New Year to all of my Jewish listeners and viewers. We just went through the holiday of Rosh Hashanah, and it's very important that we pray with a lot of verve and a lot of enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the very difficult time for our people. God should watch over us. I am very, very deeply honored and very appreciative to have with me today Leora Levenstein, who is the mother of Yonadav, who fell in Gaza in November of 2023. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I want to introduce you formally so people get a sense of who you are. And I should mention at the top of the show a couple of things. Firstly, that this interview was enabled by Isak Levitt, who is the chair of the association of the Givati Brigade, and also that Leora and I are family, right? Which is nice, and I am really happy to have you. So let us introduce you formally. Yonadav Levenstein, age 23, fell in battle on November 3rd, 2023, while defending Israel against Hamas terrorists in northern Gaza. He was buried on November 5th on Mount Herzl in Jerusalem, survived by his wife Hadar, his mother Leora, my guest today, and his 5 older siblings, Meirav, Elnatan, Atara, Ta'ala, and Aviel. He was predeceased by his father, Michael. As the giant baby of the family, he brought joy, laughter, and strength to his siblings. He had recently married his soulmate Hadar just weeks before his death. Yonadav's tall stature and striking red beard led many of his friends and comrades to refer to him as the Viking. Brilliant and endlessly curious, Yonadav devoured books and absorbed knowledge in countless areas: Bible, Jewish thought, world history, geography, politics, economics, and philosophy. Despite his sharp intellect, he shared what he knew with humility and care, always meeting people where they were and never making them feel lesser. Music was another of his great loves. A gifted musician, he could play guitar, piano, drums, and even unusual instruments, filling gatherings with rhythm and with song. His devotion to the land of Israel was equally profound. Before his military service, he worked as an excavator at the City of David archaeological site near the Temple Mount, where he unearthed pieces of Jewish history and where he met Hadar. Together, they hiked the Israel Trail and dreamed of the life they would build side by side. Their wedding took place on September 7th, 2023. Just 2 months later, tragedy struck. Tall, strong, and full of warmth, Yonadav carried a gentle and sensitive heart. His presence radiated love, uplifting his family and his friends. The loss of his light is felt deeply and painfully by all who knew him. I welcome my guest today with great love and appreciation, Leora Levenstein, Yonadav's very, very special mom. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Whenever I'm talking about Yonadav, I feel like I'm in a good mood. It might sound a bit strange because obviously there's deep pain, which does not get better with time. Maybe the pain is even deeper that he's not here. But I can't talk about Yonadav without smiling. That was who he was. We've had many meetings with people who organize different memorial ceremonies or whatever. Whenever they would come in, to find out about Yonadav, they always left saying, "I thought I would leave sad," but just hearing about him puts a smile on your face. And he had that ability throughout his life. Yonadav, he made people feel good. He made people feel they were important. He knew how to befriend people, people who were very different than him. And he was fun. He was a fun person to be with. From when he was a little kid, he was very cute, very active. All kids are, thank God, like lots of energy. And he was very curious, as I think you mentioned. You're with him. You did fun things, sometimes crazy things, but he was fun to be with. And as he grew older, I think he became less noisy. He was a very noisy kid. When he grew up, he became a lot quieter. But he always just really, I think it was an innate ability to connect to people. And I think as he grew older, he realized that it's interesting to connect with people who are very different from you. I've heard that from a lot of his army friends who come from all different kinds of backgrounds, and they were really, really close. You go through army training in Givati, in the Sayeret Givati, in the reconnaissance unit. It's hard, but they had a good time. They really bonded. And one of his friends was with him in the army, not in Givati, but in the army before he got to Givati. Told us this past year in Yom HaZikaron that when he never had a friend like Yonadav, because when Yonadav listened to you, he said he felt that his loneliness disappeared. That's a pretty strong thing to say about friendship. He really had that ability, and that's why he makes me smile.
What was he like as a son to you?
It really was, as a mother, it was fun to be with him. I think he had maybe a few annoying months before his bar mitzvah, that awful, terrible age. But really, aside from that, I felt like it's one of the things I'm thankful for. I mean, his 23 years of a life is not the way it's supposed to be, but I have to say that like every day that I spent with him was good. So that's one of the things that I think, I don't know if consoles is the right word, but he went through some hard times in high school, but we were there with him. And I felt he understood everything. Sometimes I didn't understand how he understood things, but he was very sensitive. And so also as a son, and he was fun. He was fun. It was fun to be with, and very respectful. I mean, of his parents. Doesn't mean didn't argue for sure as a teenager, but he was, and a very good person to have at the Shabbat table. I mean, he and his father Michael, not having the two of them, our discussions about anything happening in the world are definitely lacking, because the two of them, I think Yonadav obviously got from Michael, from his father, the ability, I don't know, it's a gene, like the ability to read history books and remember everything you read. I don't remember anything when I read something. He really remembered, and he loved it, and the love of books in general. I mean, Michael brought all our kids a love of knowledge, and Yonadav really, he just had that ability to read books. He did it on his own. I mean, one of his teachers who came to the shiva, she was his teacher in grade 6, and a history teacher, and she said that, because he was so active and he had a hard time sitting in class, he would often be told to go help the janitor or go help, I don't know, kids with special needs, and he was good at that. But in history, he said, "I'm not leaving." He refused to leave the class. He said, "No, I'm staying." She said that even at that age, it was important to him to understand the connection to our history, between our history and our life, like what's going on now, and he really developed that as he grew older, and he started reading books on his own about anything and everything. He had a love for knowledge, and he, as you said, he shared it, never making anybody feel they were any less smart than he was. And if you didn't ask him, he didn't say anything. But like his friends in the army knew that if they wanted advice on anything or knowledge, they asked him.
You know what's interesting is that I had the honor and the privilege to know your family, to know my family, obviously, and I knew his grandfather, Larry. And Larry was a bibliophile. He was a great lover of books, in particular areas having to do with academia. He had an enormous library when he passed. And of course, your late husband, Michael, who died 3 years before Yonadav, also brilliant fellow. Right. So that real sort of intellectual side, I know, came from the Levensteins.
That's true.
Are you yourself artsy, or are you the academia side?
I'm a social worker, so it's not my. Yeah, we divided up the different areas. So he definitely got that from the Levensteins, and it's true, from his father and his grandfather, this love of books and history and even archaeology. You mentioned that Yonadav worked at the city of David before he went into the army, and that was such a perfect place for him. I mean, first of all, he was very strong. He was big and strong, like you said, the Viking, and so he could like smash rocks like he was just, I don't know, banging on with a hammer. I don't know. But the fact that he was seeing history, I mean, and that he loved it. He really, he got it. And it was a very, I think the place where he dug, and as you said, he met Hadar there. She was also working there. Was the route up to the Temple Mount, and it was just open, I think, to the public last week. It's an amazing thing. Like, I went to visit him, and it was like, what you're walking on the stones that the people walked on to go up to Beit HaMikdash 2,000 years ago. It was very exciting, and he was very excited by it, and he was, yeah, it's like living history. So that was one of the things he loved, and that was a great place and it's very symbolic. Hadar has spoken about it too, that they met there. It took a long time for him to convince Hadar to even look at him. She's 2.5 years older than he is. She was after her national service. He was before his army service. She didn't see what was anything here, but he didn't give up. Yonadav never gave up, and he saw that she was the right person for him, and he waited for her to go to India and come back, and until she realized that, oh, this guy's very interesting, actually.
Yeah, she spoke very, very beautifully about him during her eulogy, referring to the fact that he was self-taught musician, that she said he was a wonderful, wonderful conversationalist. And it's very interesting. I just want to put this picture back up there. When you look at the two, you wouldn't say at first blush, well, these two are compatible, right? I believe
that's what she said when she saw him. What's the connection here? But I think they actually, in my opinion, were very much alike. They both had this quiet inner, I don't know, peace that, I mean, there was also a certain balance there, because he was much more energetic, and she, you know, but she also felt she saw in him the person who gave, he did give this sense of security. When you're with Yonadav, you feel safe, and that's what she always said about him. And it's funny, as a kid who was told by the neurologist when he was 8 years old, you have ADHD, you're impulsive, and then he became such a, you know, level-headed person who made you feel secure.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the names that people are given, in particular in the IDF, and I believe that I know he was called the Viking because he was very tall. He was redhead, and he was also called by some Gulliver.
Yeah, I saw that somewhere. Right. Yeah, he was a giant, and he was a giant in many ways, but he was tall, and
Where does he get the height from?
My father.
Was your dad tall?
Yeah, he's still should be well till 120. He's 90, almost 95. He's not so tall anymore, but he's tall. Yeah. And his mother, my grandmother, she's the redhead. That's where the red hair comes from. So, he was blonde. He only had a red beard, but he was blonde.
Right. Did your parents have a close relationship with him?
Very close. I'm glad you asked that question, because Yonadav, in his great intelligence, I mean, my parents have a great relationship with all their children and grandchildren. They're very special people. And Yonadav really, when he was in Jerusalem, he would go visit them. And when he was going with Hadar, he would take her there. He knew that they were such a model as a couple, and as people. He really, really appreciated them, and they appreciated him. So yes, he had a very close relationship with them.
Were there aspects of your son that you see in your mom and dad?
I think, my mother, actually, she's got this both my parents, actually, they also read a lot of books and like history and listen, Zionism. My parents brought us here. Thank God. We're still thanking them. I was 13. I'm the oldest of 4 kids. And they just said, like, I'm from Montreal. And they both, I think individually and then together, said, well, if you're going to bring up Jewish kids, it should be in Israel. Like, yes. Basically that simple. And our kids are all, I think, very aware of that. And as I say, we're still thanking them that we're here and the whole family's here. And so he definitely appreciated that from them also.
Your husband, Michael, was a beautiful man, a real beautiful man. I mean, like I said before, the Levenstein family are very special people. I don't know did you know Charlie and Evelyn?
I did, yes.
Larry's parents? You did know them.
We got married, I think Charlie died a few years later. And Evelyn, she came to visit us. She was here when some of our kids were born. Yeah. They're wonderful, yeah.
She was a very elegant woman. I always remember her beautiful fingernails that she used to paint all the time. And Charlie was a force. He was a real force.
Yeah.
So Yonadav came from, and all your children, thank God, came from great stock. How did you and Michael, your husband, meet?
Through mutual friends. I think mutual Canadian friends. A few people who we met in Israel. I mean, I had been there for I'd finished high school and finished the army and finished my BA at Bar Ilan. And Michael came to Israel after high school, went to Yeshivat Kotel, went back to medical school, but he knew he was coming to Israel. So so we met here. And since you mentioned the family, I just want to say that Yonadav was also close with his other grandparents.
Yes.
And thank God, with the whole family. I mean, just this summer we had the privilege of having my mother-in-law here. Linda was here for a few smachot, and she came for Yonadav's wedding 2 years ago, and she debated. It's not easy to make a trip, and it was very special. He really, really wanted her to come, and Hadar knew that, how special it was for him that she came for his wedding. And obviously, in retrospect, I'm sure she's glad she made the trip then. And so he really was. Yeah, we have wonderful family on all sides, and that's I mean, my kids all appreciate it, and I know for sure that's where I get my strength. If people say, "Oh, you're strong," I don't know what it means. You're strong. I don't know what that means. It's hard to lose a kid, and it's going to be hard for the rest of my life. But I know that whatever strength I have, and the fact that I don't know, it's just obvious that you get up and you keep going somehow. It's from my parents, from my family, and we're very, very lucky, surrounded by an amazing family on all sides.
Leora, were you surprised by your strength?
It's a good question. I mean, I sort of went. I mean, it's not the same thing at all. Michael died, you said 5 years ago, and it was after 3 years of fighting cancer. And I think then that's when I realized that when a whole family and friends hold you up, so that's sort of I realized I'm not falling because everyone's holding me, so I can't fall. So it was different with Yonadav. It was obviously this not something that nobody expects, and I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, as I say, I for sure I know that I get energy and strength from all the people around me and around us, and from my children, my amazing children. We're going through this together, and everybody has their own life to live, and everybody tries and does their best, and but definitely strength comes from the family and friends that are neighbors. I mean, people are just. In Yonadav's case, I feel that the whole country really, everybody wants to. That's my experience. People say thank you. People came to the Shiva who didn't know us. They want to say thank you. Your son died for all of us, and it's true. Obviously, we have an amazing people and amazing young people who are in the army. And I remember watching Yonadav's friends who, after he was killed, and there were three of them were killed together. He and his friend and a commander, and it was very hard for his friends. And they stayed in Gaza for a year. I mean, basically, they hardly got out. And I met them a few times when they got out. Some of them, and they weren't complaining. It's like it's not something normal about young people. They were so. I saw it in Yonadav in the few weeks he was killed. A month after the war started, a week after the army went into Gaza, and I just saw how motivated, how it was so clear to them, so clear to him. He was happy that he was doing, it was just obvious, and he did not want to die. He was at the climax of his life. He just married Hadar. He loved his army service. He was a happy person. It was really a strange thing to say, but a 23-year-old person, the climax of your life. But he really was. He was just happy. So he wanted to live, but no questions. We did not ask for this war. We are not a country that wants war at all. We're a country that loves life and people that love life. And but it was just so clear. We're going in there. We have to get these hostages out, and they attacked us. And this is our country. It was just as simple as that. So,
Yonadav fought on October the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us what he told you about that day?
Yeah. Okay, Yonadav was 23, but he was just finishing his mandatory service. He was about to get out in December. He was supposed to finish his army service. October 7th, Simchat Torah, they were home in their apartment they had just moved into. They just got married 2 months before. And he actually went to shul in the morning to my parents' shul. He was with my father and with his cousin who was his best friend, who was also, he's in an elite unit in the army. And they were in shul with my father, and Hadar was home, and his phone kept ringing. Anyways, long line. They found Yonadav eventually, and all the Jerusalemites in his unit went together. First, they were told to go to Sderot, and they saw the horrible things they were to see on the way. And then pretty soon after that, they were sent to kibbutz Nachal Oz. They were there for 3 days, and I met him twice. I saw Yonadav twice during the war. Once he asked me to bring him something, a helmet that he had in the house. I brought it down to his base, and I had this like hour to sit with him, and he really was glowing. He said, like, I said, did you have time to process the horrible things you saw? He said, no, not yet. This is not the time. There'll be time for that. And so he didn't talk about it a lot. He didn't tell me. He didn't tell Hadar exactly what they did. We know he said that the people of Nachal Oz were like all the kibbutzim there were locked in their houses. They couldn't leave their mamad, their secure room, until the army came, and they had to convince them, you can come out. And then they had to basically guard the kibbutz until some other unit came. They went back to their base to prepare for going into Gaza. So he never had the time to really tell us exactly, and he obviously didn't have time to process what happened there because the war is still going on. And he was killed a week after they went into Gaza. I saw him one other time. He got out because he told his commander that it was very hard for his wife. There were only 2 married guys in his unit, and he let them both go home for a day. So I went to see them. And again, he was just very, they were focused. It was just so clear that we were attacked. We have to defend the country. There was no.
What fascinates me about that narrative, that story that you just told of you jumping in your car and taking down his helmet to his base. It's not what you would think would happen in a traditional army. But I know similar stories from my niece Miriam, Etty and Jack's daughter,
Right.
whose sons and children have been in the war and have been fighting and been doing bravely and courageously.
Mm-hmm.
But often, she would jump in the car and take them sandwiches.
Right.
So the relationship to the mom,
Yeah.
to the war itself and to their children, it's very, very powerful and it's very hands-on.
Right. I saw it as an opportunity, like to go. I get to see him. Wow. And Hadar, I think she went down 3 times. I mean, she said he had to go back after he came home for this one day. She said, "I'm up," and she knew we knew by then they were going into Gaza the next day, and she took the bus all the way down south, and just to have that time with him. And so I think she was there, and she surprised him on the base another time in the middle of the night. Somehow she got friends who were driving. Yeah, she did anything to have a few more minutes with him, and yeah. It's true.
It's a peculiar army.
Oh, we definitely. There's no other army like it. No other people like us. Right? No other army. You're right for sure. He said to me, "Don't ask me why I have a helmet in the attic, but can you just bring it to me?" I said, "Okay." I'm not asking why you have a helmet in the attic. I don't know where he got it.
I know that
the one I have here is not good. You bring me a different one. The one I have at home.
Right. I know that Yonadav was part of the Givati Brigade. And I mentioned before Itzhak Levitt, who is the chairman of the Givati Brigade Association, who's just a fine human being and has worked arduously to make the lives of soldiers better, bereaved families, and so on. Was there an aspect of Yonadav's fighting, of his being in the army, that was Givati? Were you aware of the Givati component?
I knew that he really wanted to get to Givati. Our older son, Elatan, 10 years before him, was at the time there was a unit called Rimon, which was part of Givati.
Yes.
It was also a very special unit. Then they closed it again. But I have a picture of Yonadav. I think he was 8. And when we went to visit Elatan, and he sort of had his eyes looking up at this purple beret. And he wanted to get to Givati. He wanted to get to the reconnaissance unit of Givati. And he had to fight a bit to get where he got to in the army. But as soon as he got there, they saw his qualities. And I mean, my experience from Givati, I was in the army, but I was a teacher in the army. It wasn't exactly very combat. So my experience of going to all his ceremonies, I remember coming back so you just felt that this is, his ceremonies, like he finished different stages of his training, were during the terrible fighting between our people, left and right, and the judicial system. And I would get there and I'd say, what are they talking about? You have every kind of person here, and everybody is so happy to be together. Get the boys for sure, and even the families. Just like everyone knows why we're here. They're training hard so they can protect our country, so they can fight for the country. And he loved it, and I loved it. I mean, I like to think everything about the army. I would cry just hearing Hatikva at an army ceremony. So yeah, it was always very moving to me. That's why I went to the army, even though I went to a school which did not encourage girls to go in the army, but I just felt that how can you not be part of this? This is what, this is our country, and this is. So he really, he loved Givati. He loved his friends, and I know they loved him. They've been telling me that. And a lot of them said to me he was my best friend, or I was his best friend, because everybody was his best friend. He knew the parents of his kids, like they would say, they all knew Yonadav. I don't know, maybe because he stood out because he was tall, but it wasn't just that. He had a personality that he really, I mean, really, he told me, we have 12 languages in our group. There were people, there was a Druze soldier and Russians and Ethiopians and French speaking, and I don't know, some other strange languages from people from all over, really. And he loved it. He really, they worked hard and they had a good time at the same time.
Leora, my son went off to university last year. Thank God he's 19, so he's in second year. And I was a little verklempt on the first day that he went off. We were going to pack him with a lunch bag, but we didn't, obviously.
Right.
It's one thing to watch your son go off to university and have a pretty good sense that he's going to be okay there, even though things are difficult here in Toronto now.
Yeah.
What's it like for an Israeli mom when your son goes off to the army and then to war?
Well, I can tell you about when Alatan, our older son, went also to Givati. And I remember at the time I was reading a book written by Miriam Peretz, whose two sons were killed. And I said at first, I cannot read this book. This is too scary. But it was a good book, and I think she's an amazing person. So I finished the book. But I said, okay, so how do I get through this 3 years in the army? And you just put it somewhere you just put it away. Like, I was proud of him being in the army, and you don't think of, everyone knows you grew up in this country. I've been here a long time, and the sad stories, unfortunately, have been throughout the years. But I don't know, you just put it somewhere so that I could sleep at night. And same thing with Yonadav. I knew, first of all, nobody had this war. We did not see this coming, obviously. And when I watch his wedding, which is the happiest thing for me to do, it's so surreal. I look at the people there. For the other soldier who was killed with him is there dancing with him. His two Adim, everyone's just so happy there. One of them lost a brother in this war, and the other one was injured himself. And it's surreal. 2 months before, everybody was just so happy, dancing for hours with Yonadav, and what happened 2 months later? I was happy that he was there. He fought to get to where he got to. He was happy. And that's what I thought about. I did not think about the dangers. That's the honest truth. Just you don't think about it because it's not gonna help. Not gonna help to worry about it. And I said, I was nervous. That 1 week he was in Gaza, then I was nervous. I said, I don't know what people did they're still there. I don't know. I don't know how you sleep at night because it's scary. It's very scary. It's
well,
scary.
what do you do, or what did you do to get through the day
during that 1 week? And I knew he was in Gaza, and I was thinking, what if they come knocking on my door? I don't know. I remember talking to Hadar during that week. Neither of us were really willing to say how worried we were, but we were, obviously. She was too. I don't know. You live, you pray, you hope for the best. And
I know amongst religious women, my sisters in particular have shared this with me, that there's a lot of prayer, as you say, and there's a lot of Tehillim, which is a particular prayer, reaching out to God to watch over us. Are you a Tehillim reader or prayer?
Not particularly. At our shul, which is in our neighbor right next to our house, they started at the beginning of the war. Women would meet at 5 o'clock, and obviously at the time they did not think we would still be doing. They're still doing it every single day at 5 o'clock. They meet in the shul, and I went at the beginning. After I was killed, it was hard for me. I mean, just in general, gatherings were a bit too much for me. So but the truth is, when I do sit to say Tehillim, I really find it's there's something very inspiring. There's something, I don't know, David HaMelech, who went through hard things, and there's something there that talks to a soul that's dealing with hardship, with pain, with So I think it's strong. I think it's very strong.
Where are you at with God?
I think I'm lucky that because when I do meet with other parents and people talk about one of the components of resilience is not asking why. And that's just something that's part of me. I don't ask why. Like I never, it's not, it's really not a question in my mind, why Yonadav or why did this happen? It's just not. I don't know how to really explain that. I just know that I'm lucky that it's not. It's hard. I have a lot of, like it's pain, like enough already. And why is this still going on? And why are the soldiers still being killed? Yeah, but I know how much I don't understand, that none of us understand. I mean, I don't even know how to solve a conflict in Gaza. So how God runs this world, I don't begin to try and understand that. I think though, having a belief in God and a very strong feeling of this is our country. That's not a question. We have to protect it. We're lucky we are living in an age where we have this country or we have this army. Why does it have to be so hard? That's true. It's just very sad. It hurts. It hurts.
Have you seen Nisim miracles?
Lots, I think.
Like what? Like what?
I mean, we all saw what happened in Iran. I mean, that was a miracle. And I have two nephews who are in, I have a lot of nephews who are serving in the army. They're in and out, and some are in all the time. And two were injured, and thank God they recovered right away. One was injured on the 7th of October, and he was back very quickly, back fighting. And another one also back in his unit, and they're doing whatever. So a lot of miracles. I mean, the whole situation. I think we have a miraculous people. The fact that they say now that all the kibbutzim around, where the attack happened, it's hard to get in now. People are not everyone went back to their kibbutzim and Sderot people have gone back. Sderot has grown. I said this before the war. My son Aviel studied film in Sapir College in Sderot. He finished just before the war. And I would say all the time, where in the world do you see a city being bombed for 22 years before the war? And the city's growing. And that's not normal. It's not. And so it's miraculous. Everything's a miracle. And I love the city of Sderot. I spent last Simchat Torah with Aviel there. It was very moving to be there. So, I mean, that shouldn't have been. I'm not going to go into that, but it should not be. No city in any country should be under fire and having children run into bomb shelters their whole life. That should not have been. But it's a miracle. The fact that this country, this people does have resilience. And I think part of it is because we know that we're here, not going anywhere. It's very sad that we have enemies that are not interested in life. They just don't want us to be here. It's just sad.
Has your empathy changed since your son fell, as a social worker, as a mom, as a friend?
It's a good question. I don't know. I'd like to think that I was, empathetic before, and I sensitive to people. I think there is a certain, I think when you feel pain like that, you know. I feel like I do notice more things. I notice people who are in pain and what they're going through. And also you realize how, I mean, I think I knew this, but everybody is so different, even in this situation, and how you deal with things, how you live, and what's good for you, what's not good for you. Everyone says this. There are a lot. I think this country offers a lot of things for bereaved families. The Army and the Ministry of Defense and all kinds of organizations. Karen, Kobe, Mandel, and One Family, amazing things. And you have to choose what's good for you. I started a group at one point and I realized this is not for me. I'm not a group person, but I go to yoga at One Family for bereaved mothers every week and I love it. And there's, and you really see how different people, we have a lot of things in common. People who have lost a son and lost a child in this way. We have a lot in common, but everyone is different. Everyone's situation is different, and even the fact, like you said, do I ask why? And I when I hear people saying but why, and I just say I'm just lucky that this. I don't know. It's just not. It's not a question in my. I just don't go there. I don't know.
When you're with the yoga moms, do you feel a sense of Yeah, they get me and I get them
Mhm.
more so
Yeah.
than other places.
Yeah, you don't have to. We don't have to talk. Yeah,
You don't
there's
have
a
to talk.
certain. Yeah, everybody knows that the chagim are hard, the holidays, and when your take's coming up, and yeah, yeah, definitely.
I really want my listeners and my viewers to understand who you are by what you go through, living in Israel and having the courage and the bravery to send your children off to war, something that we do not experience here. There have been a number of fallen soldiers since October 7th, close to 1,000 IDF soldiers, many from the Givati Brigade, including Lieutenant Yaron Eliezer Chittis, 23, Staff Sergeant Itai Bouton, 20 years old, Staff Sergeant Ephraim Yachman, 21 years old, and the list goes on. And the ages are very young, so that people understand what it is that you are giving to the Jewish people. Your son fell in November of 2023, only 2 months after he was married, and we talk about that knock on the door. Can you tell us about that?
Hmm. Um, yeah. I mean, they knocked on our door really exactly as I was about to light candles on Friday, and I was upstairs, and Aviel came up and said, "I think I even saw somebody walking on the path, but I didn't. I think he was not in uniform, and I thought they were looking for a neighbor. I don't know." So even though it was, as I say, that 1 week since I knew he was in Gaza, it was there, and I had this fear inside of me. And Aviel came upstairs and said, "Ima, they want you at the door," and I understood what that meant. And Aviel understood. They wouldn't say anything to Aviel until I came downstairs to the door. Some of my kids were here for Shabbat, and the rest came. And eventually they found Hadar, and she came also. It's hard to describe. I think it's something that you realize it on one level, but it takes a long time. I think now I understand people who after 20 years say, but it's not real. It's just not real. It's not logical that he's not here, that he's not coming back. Doesn't make sense. So there are all kinds of levels of understanding. Your head understands something, your soul, your heart understands it at a different level or a different time. But I think, like you asked first about living in Israel, I really, this is something I've felt since, I've been here since I'm 13 years old, 48 years. It's a privilege to be here. I really, really, really feel that. And it's a privilege to serve in the army. Being better, it would be better if we didn't have to have an army, but that's not the situation. So we do, and it's just part of life. Just as I say, it's something in the back of your head. That family. Everyone knows families. We had one when we moved to Israel. Our family, we had one relative in Israel. He was very famous, Dov Yosef, Barney Joseph. You heard of him? He was my grandmother's cousin. And they had a daughter who was killed in 1948, Layla. And I knew from them, like from here, my grandparents were close to my parents were close to him, and we knew him as kids. And we knew that they said his wife never really got over it. She was busy. They were they were important people in Israeli society. He was a member of Knesset. He was a minister in a few different ministries, and they went on and they did. And in 1948, I think they buried their daughter, and he went right back. He got a helicopter because he had to go back to work. But they say his wife never got over it. But I know that. I don't know what that, I didn't know her. I knew her after she had a stroke, I think in her 70s, and then she passed away. So if you know about these things, and everyone knows people, but it's something that, somewhere in your brain that it's part of our existence here. It doesn't help to, worry is it going to happen to me? So I didn't. Even now, I sometimes think like I'm part of this mishpacha shchol, what they call it, the bereaved families. But I still feel it's a privilege to live here. That for sure has not diminished. And I'm proud to be Yonadav's mother. Proud to be living in this country. I'm happy. It's not, happy all my kids are here, and it's part of life. It's very.
There's a magnificent aspect of Judaism which is called Shiva,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody or anybody who has gone through it in different forms speaks about it. Who attends, who comes to visit. My gosh, I haven't seen you in years, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I've interviewed IDF soldiers and people who've been involved with the war, have lost people, and I've heard about their shivas. And there's always, not to sound crass, but there's always something magical about it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the people who show up, people you don't know. What was Yonadav Shiva like?
Yeah. I magical is accurate in a way. I mean, as I say, I couldn't tell if I'm on a high because I'm talking about Yonadav, or I'm on a high because I'm still on a high from his wedding. There were tons of people. I can't say I remember everybody that was here, and everything everyone said. It was, I mean, first of all, I think I mentioned there were people who came who did not know us, and they really came. So I remember some couple came. We're from England. He's a rabbi. They were visiting family, and we just felt we had to come to say thank you. So there was this feeling of, this is a national thing. This is not only your loss, which yeah, that has a lot of meaning. It puts it, in a certain perspective. Doesn't make it any less sad than anybody else dying. It does give it some meaning, and all the people that came from all, as I say, from then and since then, we've heard from his friends from the army could not come. They were in the army. They were in Gaza. They could not get out, but their parents came, and they say some of the parents even knew Yonadav. So, and some of them told stories, and how meaningful Yonadav was to so many people, and how he touched so many people. It was, yeah. I mean, Miriam Peretz came. I don't think she couldn't have possibly gone to all the shivas, but I mean, I know she goes to a lot. And I remember watching Hadar as she was talking to her, and like she's saying, the sun will shine, and Hadar was just not there at that moment. Like, okay, you can tell me that, but
Yes.
but I was glad she heard it, and I know she heard it, and thank God. Hadar she's very special, and she's doing her own process of healing. She's traveling. She's in Australia, seeing beautiful things, beautiful views, and beautiful nature. And so even if at the time, you hear things that you can't process everything, you can't remember everything. And I mean, we got their wedding album during the Shiva. That was pretty surreal. We were sitting at I was sitting with her, looking at their wedding album, and so it's not real. I mean, but the love, the help, the support we got from so many people. I mean, my neighbors were bringing me cakes and food for at least a year. I mean, I had to tell them at some point, okay, you better stop.
There's too much food.
Yeah, too much cake. But
I'm curious how your relationship with Hadar developed after Yonadav fell.
well, I'm very lucky, and we're very lucky that the relationship was great before. I mean, basically their whole relationship. He was in the army, so when he would get out, they would come to us for Shabbat. So I really felt she was part of our home, and she just fit in very, very naturally. And we all love Hadar, not just my immediate family, my whole extended family. Everybody, just like everyone loved Yonadav, everyone loves Hadar, and she's special. She's special, and she's a light for me. I mean, she's been traveling now for 7 months, but we speak every Thursday if she can get enough internet access or whatever. It's important, I think, to both of us. And yeah, she's. I mean, she's something I feel Yonadav brought us, so she's part of Yonadav, but also in herself. I love her. She's, and I say, all my kids, all my nieces and nephews, my siblings, everybody loves Hadar, and yeah, and I will be the happiest person when she gets married again. I hope that will happen.
God willing, yes.
She has a whole life ahead of her, and I trust her. I think she knows how to do things at her own pace. I really, during the Shiva, I just couldn't fathom what is she going to do after the Shiva. How's she going to get up? It's not, I knew that I had work, I have other kids, I have, I may be sad the rest of my life, but they just got married. They were going to go traveling. They didn't even decide where. This is her life. And she has amazing friends, and she stayed here for a month. I told her, you can stay forever, but this, festival in my garden with all these people, that's a bit not shy. I have to go back to work. So so then she went back to her apartment, which they had just rented 2 months before. She first with her friends, and then she was there alone. The only thing that she knew she was going to do was to do the Israel Trail again, which she had done with Yonadav, and she wanted to do it again and her friends joined her to commemorate him. She stuck his stickers all over the country. She met people. She talked about him. We joined her on Yonadav's birthday. On Hadar, we met her. They were around the Dead Sea area. Her Hadar's family and my family. We were like 70 people. We made T-shirts. We made hats, and I mean, it was meaningful. It was hard. I came home. I remember saying, like, I don't want these celebrations. What? It's his birthday. Let's just let him come home. I'll give him a cake. That's what we do, and that's it.
Yes.
But it was very meaningful, and
I'm really curious about the soul of an ima, of a mother, and you alluded to my point, which is you have 6 children.
mm-hmm.
One of them is not on this earth,
Mm-hmm.
and you were sitting Shiva, and the pain of a mother losing a child is unmatched by any other pain, from what I understand from my discussions with other people. Yet, as a mom, were you cognizant? Were you aware of your other children? You know, of their families? You have a big life. There's a lot of people included in it. Were you able to take care of those people who were needed taking care of?
Not that week. I remember the week of Shiva, I told my kids, I'm not a savta. I'm not a grandmother. Don't. They didn't. They did not expect me to take care of my grandchildren then, obviously. That was just too, but thank God, thank God for the kids, and I've had grandchildren born since.
Thank God.
Was killed, and I sort of feel like each of them lost Yonadav in a different way. I mean, we all lost it in the same way, but each of them had a different relationship with him. So I sort of I feel that also, but and thank God each one is also going on with their life and wherever they're at. And so yeah, it's definitely I mean, when Michael died, I felt that I was so happy that I was there for the kids. They were there for me. And when Yonadav died, I felt it really threw everything off balance. I mean, we had a life, we had our 32 years of marriage, and we, built this family, and Yonadav, it was a lot harder to get a grasp on, because he was 23, he just got married, and this was, this made me so happy. I felt that for 3 years after Michael died, I was happy at Yonadav's wedding. And then it was, so yeah, it's hard. It's good to be together, but it's hard. Yeah.
I think it's very important too that we mention Linda Levenstein, who's in the picture just above you, and of course Linda is Michael's mother and Yonadav's grandmother.
Right.
Once you got the news and we're going through the Shiva, how do you impart the message to Linda? How do you share that?
I don't remember who had that job. Probably my sister-in-laws, her daughters. And they, I think, very smartly decided to all stay with her. She sort of had her own Shiva in Toronto. One of my nephews, Aaron Lesser, came. He was living in New York. He just got on a plane, and all the cousins, they're all very close. And Aaron spent a lot of time with us in Israel. He lived here and will live here again, I'm sure, with his wife, Talia. And he just showed up. And 2 of my nieces are living in Israel, Michael's nieces. So she sort of sat Shiva there, and we did I think we did did we do a Zoom for the Shloshim? Yeah, I think they did a Zoom from Toronto, I think, for the Shloshim. And yeah, I mean, even for when Michael passed away, she also, it was COVID, and she sat Shiva there with her family. But, I'm also blessed with an amazing mother-in-law, and I speak to her almost every day. She's, been through a lot with as we have the last few years. So, we're lucky. As I said, that she was very, very, always close with Yonadav and all the grandchildren. The fact that she came this summer was amazing. Everybody was waiting for her, and it was not easy. She made the trip, and it was very special. We love being together, and it's quite amazing how we the kids all grew up in different countries. Michael's nieces and nephews, and my kids, but they're all very close, and they all feel very close, which is yeah. So,
Leora, there's a bumper sticker that says, "Had I known being a grandparent was so great, I would have done it first." And I think that speaks to the idea that the relationship of the grandparents, Saba and Savta, Zebubi and Zaidi, is
hmm
so incredibly powerful.
hmm
And so, how did Linda process this as a Bubi, as a Savta,
um,
or how did
I
your mom and
think,
dad?
yeah. Well, I'll tell you something apropos what you just said. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, grandparenting is better than being a parent." Somebody once said that to my father when he first became a grandparent. He said, "No, I think being a parent was great too," and my parents really they meant it, and I think that's true for my in-laws too. They all have good relationships with their children and with their grandchildren, and I think when there's such close family ties. Um, I think there's something also when you've lived so many years, you've gone through a lot of things. I think it's like all of us. She feels the loss, and a grandchild. Yeah, I mean, I know my mother said to one of my nephews, another one of her grandsons. As I say, I have a lot of nephews serving in the army and nieces. She said, maybe you won't go back. Like she won't go back to the army. Like we've given enough. And I know even she did not really think that he was not going to go back, but it's hard. Um, it's hard. Um,
How did your children process Yonadav's passing?
I think we're all still processing it. I think it really goes. There are stages, and I think at one point, like I don't know, one of them sort of felt like that the world stopped, and then you realize that no, the world didn't stop, and you're young, and you're just starting your family, or your family's growing, and you're starting a new job or going to school, and these things go on. But I know each of them in their own way. They really, really feel. I know that I think one of the things that I did realize that was saying I don't think I learned new things about Yonadav, but I realized certain. I see Aviel, who's 2 years older than Yonadav, and they had such a good time together their whole life that like it's I just see the loss. Like Aviel is a movie expert, and any new Marvel movie that came out, he has to go see it the day it comes out, and of course Yonadav goes with him. And then when Hadar joined, Hadar came with them too,
Yeah.
and it's like, what's the fun without Yonadav? Or even complaining. Every time we get to a Chag and it's like, Pesach, there's no food. Like, what's the fun of complaining without Yonadav? They used to complain together. And, there's something. So it's the loss is felt, Even our oldest, Meirav, said at one of the gatherings we had, like, there's 11 years between them. And she said, he was like, she took care of them. They were like little kids and she was, a teenager. And she said, "Oh, finally, he got married." And she said, "Like now we're going to be equals. Now it's really going to be like we're the same age again." And then didn't have the opportunity. So um, everybody feels it, and it's part of our life.
I think what's incredible to watch in you and other people, parents who have lost their child, is that your life continues to grow because it's very, very vibrant. Yeah, Baruch Hashem, you have much family and you're busy, you're a
Mhm.
social worker and so on, but yet there's a part of it that stopped, right?
Yeah.
Would that be accurate?
Definitely, I think there are a lot of things that like all these sentences that people say who know the field of bereavement or army bereavement, and a lot of them are true. It's like because you can't figure how do you live like just like what you just said, but you really do. There's kind of parallel lines. You're living, and there's this pain which is not going to go away. I realize that now. It's not going to go away. It's always going to be there. And like somebody also one of these I don't know, describe it like if there's the like the point of the pain doesn't get smaller, but a lot of things happen and grow around it. So it's just it's there. It's there at every simcha. It's there at every holiday. But yeah, you thank God life goes on, and there is a lot happening. You're right, a lot happening, and then there's all these things, memorial events and things for families. And like, that's why I say you have to like choose like what you want to, because sometimes I feel like, okay, I can't just be in this all the time. I have to do my other life.
Yeah.
I have to work and I have to, have a family and I have, thank God, parents. And yeah, so it's another thing to put into that balance. It's Um,
Do you dream about Michael and Yonadav?
no, I don't. I know that a lot of like my kids too. They always like they're waiting to dream. Everyone and other people have told us that he appeared in a dream. I don't know. I don't remember my dreams at all. I don't say I don't dream because I think everyone dreams, but I don't remember hardly ever. I think my feelings that there's so much there when I'm awake that I don't have to dream about them. Like when I light candles, I
Yeah.
see them.
Yes.
They're there. I see Yonadav with Michael, and unfortunately I lost a granddaughter also before Michael died. We had a 1.5-year-old baby granddaughter who died. So like they're all three of them are there, and they're in my conscience. It's not I don't know. It's not in my subconscious. They're in my conscience. I hear Yonadav. I still hear his voice telling me, hey, it's okay. Everything's okay. Like that's just see him smiling. I hear him, and so no, I don't dream about them.
How many Shabbos candles do you light?
I always lit too, so I still light too.
You know, I've been playing around with AI for the last few months. Are you on AI at all? Have you tried it at all?
It's there. You know, you look up anything and it's there. So I'm not particularly, but yeah.
So I've asked AI to compose poems
Oh,
about my guests, or in this case, about Yonadav.
yeah.
And I'd like to read it to you. It's called Ode to Yonadav. And it
Okay.
reads as follows. At 23, your story burned so bright, a flame of courage in the northern night. The youngest son, the giant baby, grown. Your laughter and strength made a family whole. Books lined your path, knowledge your friend. From Torah to history, wisdom without end. Yet never with pride did you choose to impart. You spoke with humility, a generous heart. Strings of guitars, the beat of the drum, melodies rising wherever you'd come. A pianist's touch, exotic notes too. Music and soul always carried you through. You dug through the stones of the city of David, unearthing the past that your people once savored. And there among ruins, love's treasure was found. Hadar by your side, hearts forever bound. Together you walk the Israeli trail, dreaming a future, steady and hale, a wedding in autumn, joy in the air, 2 months of promise, too fleeting to share. Tall and strong, yet gentle within, your warmth spread outward, a glow from your skin. Now silence remains, but memory sings of Yonadav's life and the love that it brings.
Wow.
Yeah, honestly, I know.
Yeah. I used to make fun of. I said I used to write songs for all my kids and nephews, and I said, I can't write songs about people, but okay, maybe you can. That's very.
I'll send
Wow.
it to you. I'll send it to you.
Thanks, too.
Leora, I want to thank you for being my guest. And when I told my family that I would be interviewing you, I believe my sister Layla's response was, she's an amazing person. She's a very strong Jew. That's what she said. And I think that's how you're seen. And I want to thank you. And again, I hope this doesn't sound trite, but it's from my heart. You know, you're in Israel. You live you're in the front lines, and you've contributed greatly to it. And on behalf of myself, my family, all Jews everywhere, honestly, thank you. Thank you so much for your courage and bravery. And thank you for your son Yonadav. He sounded like he was magnificent. Just
He
magnificent.
was, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about him.
So absolutely, absolutely. I want to thank my viewers and my listeners for being part of this. And I don't think I have to talk about what you can take out of it. It's a very personal and intimate interview. And I think that what Leora shared with us, each one of us will take something special out of it. I know that I'm deeply inspired by it, and I'm sure many, many people will be as well. And we thank God for having the opportunity to have a Yonadav in our world, in our life, and as part of the Jewish people. So until we meet again, I'm Yisroel El Chai. We're very grateful for your time, and we thank you once again, and to your family, Leora.
Thank you. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova to you. Thank you.